Hello, this video was actually by request here. I've been asked by a few different people actually to make some videos, or at least a video going a little more in depth on how to use LunarCaster DJ. Specifically, I did a video a while back, a quick start guide, which goes over almost all of the same things I'm going to be going over in this series of videos, but I went at a pretty quick pace and didn't really go into very much detail on the quick start guide. I'll provide a link to the quick start guide if you just want something quick and dirty to go get yourself started with. But if you want something a little more in depth, then stick around. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the first video is going to be about just downloading it and getting started with it, loading music, and just using the players in general and how that works. So first thing, go ahead and go to lunarcaster.com, go to download, and here you'll see the download button. Just click that. Does not take long to download. It's a fairly small file. And there it is. As you see, I've done this a couple of times already. I have to do that to test my website every now and again. So you'll see here this comes with a handbook, but it's in German only. Somebody did that up for me a while back, but it's based on all the same information you find on my website. Then you have this other folder here. And inside of that, unfortunately, I have yet another folder for some reason. I don't know why I packed it that way, but anyway, grab that that folder there, and just I'm just going to drop it on my desktop. You can put it wherever you like, and it'll unzip. Yeah, the unzipping takes longer than the download, obviously. It's almost done. Come on, finish up. And there we go. Now I can just close that out. In fact, I could actually just get rid of that altogether, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll just leave it at that for now. So, anyway, open up that folder, and you could just find lunarcaster.exe, or just the one with the icon here. So, and there we are. So, first things first. First, I'm going to go into my settings here. I'm going to go to the microphone and speakers settings and make sure that my microphone is the correct one, speakers are the correct one, and if I needed to change those, you'd want to save it. If you save it, it's going to want to restart just so that your changes take effect. In my case, I don't need to, so everything is just right. So I'll just cancel that. And, well, I mean, I guess I could go over some of the other settings. The save options, I don't believe that is actually fully functional anyway. The crossfader is, well, basically the crossfading during the autoplay, which there's no point in going over this until I go over how the players and everything work anyway. Then I'll come back to that, okay? Alright, so the very next step is I'm going to want to import some music into my playlist. Now, to do that, you basically just go here to the playlist tab and then go over to the add files folder icon here. And just to the right side of that folder is a little down arrow. You're going to want to click that. On a future version, you won't have to worry about where specifically you click, but you'll notice if I click here, it's not doing anything. Well, I've already changed that in my working development version to where clicking here does the same thing as clicking on the little down arrow here on the side. But for the time being, click that little down arrow there. You can do either add a file or you can do add folder. I do normally add folder because I keep all my music in the same place. And then I'm going to go ahead and navigate here to where my music folder is and hit OK after I've selected it. And then as you see at the bottom, it's importing all of the music here, or better said, it's reading through the folders and subfolders that I've selected. And once it's done reading through all of these, it's going to populate a list in here. Now, all the information that you'll see in this list is going to be basically a artist and title, but those are based upon the ID3 tags that your music has. If your music is not tagged properly, it's not going to show up in the list properly. You can do some ID3 tag editing using Lunarcaster, but I highly recommend you use something else. I'll see if I can really recommend something. I don't really know off the top of my head. There was a program I once knew, but I haven't been doing actual having to tag any music in quite some time. I haven't bought any new music in a very, very long time. Personally, I used to use iTunes to rip my CDs to MP3s, and I tagged them right from there normally, if I remember correctly. But again, the tag editing inside of Lunarcaster itself it can be a little bit buggy, so I haven't quite gotten that just right yet, especially after you've edited. It can cause problems inside of the list afterwards, I've found. So that's something I'll have to work on in the future. If you happen to have accidentally selected the wrong folder, and it's, maybe you got a folder that's got like 50,000 songs on there, you don't want to load them all in there. You wanted to load subfolders from that folder, not the entire thing. Well, just go ahead and click on the little stop button right here. It'll stop this process, and then you can just remove anything that might have shown up then and start over. There's not much else to say at the moment until this finishes loading. So let's just wait and let that finish loading. I probably won't edit this section out because I've said a few things in here while this has been going that I'm sure is going to be helpful for some people. I'll touch on the players a little bit in the meantime. You have two players at the top, and this is just so that you can crossfade between different songs as they're, one song is ending and the next song is coming on. You can either manually play music between the two and then crossfade them on your own here using this little slider here. The more to the left this is, the more the left deck is faded in and the right deck is faded out, and vice versa. When it's in the middle, well, that's pretty much got both playing at the same level. Mostly I use autoplay because it's just easier for me to use, and it's what I think most people do use. But anyway, the loading has finished. Load complete. 4,622 songs added. So as you see here, as I mentioned, if you have some songs that are not tagged properly, they're not going to show up in the list properly, and that's the case with all of these with the little dash here in front. All the way down to this one here. Now again, you can go in and you can right click on that and you can hit the properties, and then you could go in here and you can see here the problem is that the artist is not listed in the artist section, but rather as part of the title. So this whole thing here, the name of the artist, should go up here, and then this little dash in here and spaces can be deleted, and then it would show up properly. But I'm not going to do that for now. You can play with that if you like. I'm not going to. Again, I don't trust using my own software here for too much tag editing. I'd rather do that outside of the program. So, then for meantime, I'm just after selecting the first one here, I just scroll down, hold down Shift, select the last one that I want to get rid of here, right click and remove them. And there they go. So, and that is how you populate then your playlist. Now I have everything in here. This isn't all of my music, but it's I believe it's my wife's collection here. But anyway, that's how that part works. You can search through those by just going to the search tab and click here, and then just start typing in whatever, like you got that 2 unlimited, and you'll see that it's already showing those. 50 cent, and there you go. So, search is pretty simple. History is just going to show you a history of the songs that you've played. Yeah. So outside of your playlist, you have over here in the middle, you have the play queue. Now the play queue is, well, for the players. If I click play right now, for example, with nothing in the play queue, the first deck is just going to pull a random song out of my playlist. And if that's all you care for it to do, then that's fine. You can just hit play, and as long as this is an autoplay, this thing will just keep playing back and forth between these two decks, random songs from this playlist. If, however, you want to set specific songs to play, like you're doing a radio show, you can just either double-click a song to put it in the list, or you can select one, drag and drop it in, or you can right-click on one and add to queue. So basically there's different ways to do that. Now if you happen to have, for example, some individual songs that you have in a folder, let's say I want to go in here, and I want to go into this, not there. Let's go into the music, Billy Talent, and say I want to play Red Flag. Well, I don't have that in this list for the sake of argument. So what do? Well, I just grab it, drag it, and drop it in the play queue. It's as easy as that. Or I can even drag one and drop it on a player. And there you have it. And you notice the cover art here. And if you click there, you'll see that you can see the song in the ID3 tag info here as well. Yeah. Anyway, these will just be dependent upon whether or not your files actually have the cover art in them. Now mine, some of them do, some of them don't. So, oh yeah, and let's go ahead and mute the audio, and I'll show you how the players work here. So, I've got some songs here in my play queue. When I hit play here, the first song in that play queue is going to start playing up here. Or I can click on this deck and start from there. It doesn't matter which one you use, they both play. So, oh yes, before I do that, I'll mention also here, let's say you have a radio show going, you're using connections, which I'll get onto in a different video, and you're already connected to a server, you're doing a show, you're in the middle of a show, and you're not sure if a certain song that you've got, if it's going to really fit the mood of what you're doing on that show. Well, you can right click on it and you can go to preview, and preview will open up a small player. Well, and this small player will not be heard over any stream connection you might have. You'll only hear it yourself locally. And you got a little volume control there, and you can scan through the song as you go there. But that's what that's for. So now back to this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play here, and you'll see the first song. In fact, I can do that now since I've got the audio turned off right now. I've got it muted, so I don't get any copyright infringement claims. Excuse me. And you can see the music is playing, a little visualization thing going here. You can actually click on that and go through a few different visualizations. None of it really matters, but it's just for fun, really. Once it's playing, you got your pause button, your stop button. Eject just removes the song out of the deck altogether. The next button will actually cause this song to start to fade out right away. It'll fade out and just end. And if you're in autoplay mode, the next song in this play queue will actually start playing over here at that point. If you're not in autoplay mode, if you're in manual play mode, then all what will happen is this song will fade out and nothing else will happen. It's going to be up to you to start another song over here, or even just start another one over here when it's completely empty. It's up to you. This little volume control here will be heard on the stream. This one will not. So in other words, if I have this muted like I do right now, and I am actually on air on a radio pro doing a show, the music playing right now will still be heard over the radio. I just don't hear it myself over my headphones. That's good if you're wanting to, like I said here, maybe preview some other song while that one is playing. Excuse me. Or what have you. Maybe you just don't feel like, listening to that. Maybe you got to answer the phone, whatever the case is. This volume control, however, on the individual decks, these volume controls, those will definitely affect the stream. Okay, this is for just in case for some reason you need to adjust that. Right now it says 100%, and it's actually, I think, closer to 80 right now to where it's set. I'm not sure why it says 100, but anyway, you can play with those as you feel fit, or not. Doesn't really make much of a difference as far as, whether or not you use it. I don't care. Personally, I don't touch them. I leave them right where they are, around 80%. Yeah. So let's go ahead and skip to the next song here. That means this one's going to fade out. It's not going to go all the way to the end. It's going to fade out starting right where it is over a couple of seconds. And yeah, then the next song should pull up right there like it did. And it starts playing. Now, when I'm talking about the crossfading here, if I move this song all the way here towards the end, and you just keep an eye here on how much time is left. I know it's kind of small, but you'll see at 3 seconds it faded out. The next one started, and it kind of glitched there a little bit, I think. But anyway, at least from optically. Sound-wise, it did not. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, and the time that it takes to fade out is in the settings here. This is 3 seconds. That's at the point of how many seconds left in the song before the song starts to fade out. The fade in is how many seconds the next song in the next player starts to fade in. Now, some people don't like fade-ins at all, would rather not use it at all. That's fine. You don't have to. You can just zoom, slide this all the way to the left and you'll be at 0. The next button is, alright, the current song starts fading out when there's 3 seconds left. When there's 2 seconds left in it, the next song will start. Now, it'll fade in my case, over a 1 second time frame, but it'll start playing when there's 2 seconds left in the current song. If that makes sense. Hope that makes sense to you. It makes sense to me. Anyway, the minimum length in seconds. This is in case you have like I don't know, little sound clips that you add in between your songs that you want to add in your play queue or whatever. But you don't want them to fade in. You just want them to play, obviously, because they're typically pretty short. Here you can set what the minimum length in seconds is of any particular audio file in order for it to actually fade in and out. So in other words, if you have a 5-second station identification type thing that you throw in between certain songs throughout your play queue, you're not going to want it to fade out over the last 3 seconds of that and fade in over the first 1 second of it, obviously. That's 4 out of the 5 seconds of that song was just fading. So you're probably not going to want it to fade any at all. So you're going to want to set this minimum length obviously above any of those type of files that you have. So I put 30 seconds in here. You can put whatever you want. You can put 10 seconds in there. You can put 90, whatever. Okay. All right. The save options, again, it doesn't even work really, I don't think yet. I don't think I have it fully integrated, but that's coming. So go ahead and cancel out of that. As you can see, it's going through and through and through, and we've got one song left here at the bottom that you hear in the play queue. Let's just go ahead and skip over this song so the next song comes in, and then we'll skip this one so you can see what happens when the play queue is empty, that it's going to pull a random song from the playlist, and it's going to, there you go, pop it right into there. Okay. Alright, so I went over search and I went over history, and now you can see the history actually has a number of song titles here in it that I've already played. And the one at the top is the most recent. Now you have a little broom type thing sitting here that you can just clear the history out if you want to. Personally, I think the list might get too long otherwise, so you might want to clear it every now and again. Okay. I think that should just about cover everything. Oh yes, I didn't mention the little equalizers here. There's one under each player, each deck. You can adjust those as you, however you think you need them. Okay. I guess I'll go over probably not connections yet. I'll probably go over sound effects and plugins on part 2 of this series. So I hope that was helpful for those of you who have been asking for this. I hope I covered everything that you wanted covered. There are a few more things I could actually go over, such as in the play queue. I'll go real quickly over it. I just use this button here, and I can add random songs from the playlist into my play queue. And this button, I can shuffle those songs around if I don't like the order for some reason. I can select an individual song and use the arrow buttons to move it up or down on the list. Or I can grab one and I can drag it up or drag it down the list. Now, you can also save these play queues as playlist files, which you can also then open up. Speaking of which, I really need to go over this, so I'm not done yet. Alright, so let's say you've done this here. Now you've loaded your playlist. Okay, I'll just go ahead and stop this. Don't need it running. you've loaded your playlist, and once you've loaded it, it's going to stay in there when you close the program. But let's say you have, instead of all of your music, you want to sort it into different genres. You can do that actually here by, for example, taking this playlist here, and let's say I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save this as Pop 2012 or something like that. It was around that time where I think most of that music is from, or even older. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's just call it Pop. And we'll go ahead and save that. And this is basically, I know this is in German. My operating system is in German, sorry. For those of you who don't understand it. But all this is saying is it's asking me, it's telling me that that file doesn't exist yet, and asking if I want to create it. So I'm going to say yes. And file saved, it says. Now once I've done that, I can see this little pull down menu, and there I have that in the list. Now these other ones here we're just testing, obviously, and if I now go to one of those other ones, I get this little pop-up asking me, would you like to save the current playlist before switching? Well, no, because I've already saved it, so I'll say no. And then you see it switched to a different playlist. Now this playlist could be, instead of testing 1, 2, 3, this thing could be rock, or it could be country, or it could be hip-hop, or it could be anything you want it to be. But that's basically how you can then, switch between different playlists. Now the longer the playlist is, the longer it's going to take to fully load in here, and sometimes you might get that little glitch in that, but it clears itself up right away. And that way you can switch in between different genres or different playlists of whatever you want. Those same playlists that are in here also are what you can see when you go here. Well, you can go anywhere you want from here, but you can also load them, like say I want to load that small one there specifically, and there you go. And I got that one there now. So, and to remove songs, you can just right click and remove, and you're done. So I think that about covers everything I wanted to cover in this video now, for sure. I don't plan on doing any editing, so please forgive my ums, because I know I do that a lot. And there you go, or the I do that a lot too. Yep, I'll hope to see you in the next video, where, like I said before, I will be going over sound effects and plugins, and maybe a few other things I'm not sure yet. Okay, alright, have a nice day, and thanks for watching.